Hello and welcome to the Celestial Scholar Podcast, where evidence meets energy and the stars tell more than stories. They reveal blueprints for the soul. I'm Dr. Lauren Van Gerwen, communication scholar, intuitive astrologer, and curious human being, here to guide you through the cosmic patterns shaping your path. Whether you're a skeptic, a seeker, or somewhere in between, this space invites you to explore astrology as a tool for reflection, empowerment, and self-understanding. Let's unfold the sky together. If you've ever wondered what actually happens in an astrology reading, what we talk about, what I look at, and how it can help, this episode is for you. So let's give you a little peek behind the curtain. So we start, I need your birth date, I need your birth time to as close to the minute as you can get, and I need your birthplace. If any of those are wrong, I can look at whatever chart comes up, but it's not going to be your blueprint. So I get your information, I put it into my astrology app, and then a chart is created. And so to refresh, it's a circle, and it is a representation of where the stars were above you at the date, time, and place when you were born. So then I look for major blocks and major placements. So if this is your very first reading, I'm going to look at your chart. There's something really special, by the way, about the very first time I read a chart. And it's not something I can ever recreate because I see time, if that makes sense, as a synesthesia. And so once I have seen your chart, I can kind of mostly bring it back up in my head and place you. So the first time I read a chart is nothing short of magical, actually. It's one of my favorite things. And I look at, so not just your sun sign, which kind of is so your sun sign, people are like, but I'm a Scorpio, so I'm dark and mysterious. I'm an Aquarius, so I'm a big nerd. Okay, yeah, maybe. Those things are loosely true. But your sun sign is kind of like a flavor of cuisine. So let's say you like Italian food. Cool. Well, do you like eating at Olive Garden, or do you like going to Italy and eating at a fine dining Italian restaurant, or everywhere in between? But it's still all Italian food, or quote unquote Americanized Italian food. And that's your sun sign. That's what most people are familiar with in astrology. It goes so much deeper. Every single planet, every single placement has that flavor. And I dive deeper past just, yes, this is Olive Garden. So I look at your moon sign, which describes your emotional inner world, but also oftentimes your mother or a mother figure in your life. I look at your rising sign, or it's also known as the ascendant, which is where the sun was coming up on the horizon when you were born. And that's typically how you present yourself to the world, how the world sees you. It is also part of you. Mars, Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, all of the planets. There's also points in time or asteroids. Oh, there's so many asteroids. But I look at one specifically in everyone's chart. It's Chiron. And that tells me where you might have experienced wounds in your life. And everyone has one. Another thing that's really defining about an individual's chart is the house placement of all of the planets, which is affected by the time and place. So if one of those is off, again, it won't be accurate to you. So if you have, for example, Saturn. Saturn is, a lot of people think of Saturn as like the father figure planet, as the, hey, I am the enforcer of rules planet. But Saturn's also a teacher. So there's a lot of complexity in each placement. But so if I see someone's chart and they have Saturn in their 7th house, so that's on the horizon opposite of the ascendant, it's the descendant, so where the sun is setting when you were born. That tells me daddy issues. I'm sorry, it's the daddy issues placement. And there are certain rules that you should follow, and I will give you that advice, and you can listen or not. And if you listen, maybe you avoid some harder lessons and you learn them in a not more fun, but in a not as harsh way. It's like choose your punishment, kind of. But it's not about, hey, you are doomed to have daddy issues and be a cliche. No, it's about, hey, this is a lesson your soul is going to learn and already has started to learn. And depending on how old you are, I can help guide you through those challenges. So the magic of it, and I get a little bit nervous every single time. I'm reading a chart, and whether you're a stranger or you're a close friend or you're the sibling of a close friend or anything else, I'll get a ping. So I was reading the chart of a student, and the student, having graduated, and I had read his sister, who was a previous student, and having known them both in a professional capacity, and then having previously read the sister's chart, and I knew, but I never thought much, father didn't come up, and then I'm reading the brother's chart, and I realized neither of them has ever spoken about their father. And I'm looking at the brother's chart, and I'm saying, okay, but I get that ping, that intuition ping, that the universe is laughing at me right now saying, it took you long enough to learn to listen to it. And it's true. It's the same feeling that I've had my whole life. Just trust your gut. And I said, okay, tell me if I'm wrong, please. But I can't shake the feeling of, you and your sister have never mentioned your father. I don't even remember seeing your father in your sister's chart, but I see him right here. And the vibe I'm getting is soft, kind, intuitive, possibly even musically or artistically inclined, but absent. And he went a little pale and he said, Dr. A, that's a little wild. My dad passed away when I was 8, but he was amazing. Of course, growing up, I do all of my family's chart. And my mom, a very interesting person, very unique individual, she kind of waned and waxed in and out of astrology. She was, a young 20-something in the 70s, and so it was very popular then. But then she would go to the opposite end and be like, no, that's total. So you see a pattern here, huh? So I have my mom's chart, or I think I do. My mom always would make the joke, I was born at 4:20. Ha, 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 ha. And I don't know which one I picked. It was AM or PM, but I put the chart in, and I was just like, okay. Yeah, that resonated, whatever. I didn't really think much of it. I was much more obsessed with other people's charts, my own chart, friends, family. My mom and I had a very tenuous relationship. She passed away a couple of years ago. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I'm visiting, right? And I was just like, oh, hey, Mom, just checking in. You were born at 4:20 a.m., right? And she goes, no, p.m. And I paled and I said, what? And she was like, I was like, are you sure? And she was like, yes. And so I go and immediately take my phone out, put in switch AM to PM. And when I tell you, it was like the ground settled. And I said, expletive, I am my mother's daughter. Well, okay. And everything just made sense. And I did not want to accept it, but I couldn't. It was like gravity settled, and so much of who I am and who she is and our relationship was karmic and made so much more sense. So then what I did next is I took my mom's chart and I put it on the outside ring of my chart. And then that shows you the aspects and dynamics between two people. And so I have my sun and moon in the 8th house. And if you're an astrologer, you know what that means. It's a lot. They're heavy. It's a heavy place to have your luminaries, the things that shine. And my mom also had her sun in her 8th house and some other things. I think maybe Mars or Venus or Mercury, one of the personal planets or more. And that dynamic, that's what you might call a sign of passed down generational trauma, right? Just that's not by coincidence. And then the aspects that connected all of those things together told me more. But minutes matter, birth time and place matters. Let's have some fun. So I have gotten a beautiful suggestion for a celebrity chart to read from a friend. and they suggested Dolly Parton. Now, I have never looked at Dolly Parton's chart. I have put it into my app, and I'm about to open it so you can experience a reading for the first time. All right. So she was born on January 19th, 1946 in Sevierville, Tennessee, and the internet puts her birth time at 8:25 p.m. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's fascinating. Oh, what a journey. So I'm going to say a lot of things, and because she's a celebrity, it's things that you might have guessed or known. Oh, look at that. Okay, all right. So, so the first thing that leaps out at me is she has Uranus almost exactly conjunct her midheaven. Now, your midheaven is at the top of the chart, and it is the dividing line between, well, if you do Placidus houses, which I prefer. Some people like whole houses, and that's just too nice and neat, and life is not that nice and neat. So it's less than 1 degree off of her midheaven, so it's squarely in the 10th house. And Uranus is a lot of things. It's brilliance, it's ideas, it's innovation. It's also chaos and unexpected things. So this is who she is. This is part of her blueprint. It's always going to be, what's the next thing? What's happening next? This is great, and now next. And so she might feel throughout her life some sort of, especially during the early parts of her career, an unsettledness. Like it's go, 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 go. But brilliance as well. Like Uranus is a really cool planet for that. And it's kind of a what you make of it thing. She also has her North Node in the 10th house. And I think I touched briefly on North Node and South Node earlier. Those are, to refresh your memory, points in time that rotate around the moon. And so they change with the moon changes and oscillates, but around the Earth, it's pretty steady. And the North Node is your path you're meant to go forth on this life. And your South Node, on the other hand, is what you're comfortable with. And it's easy for us to stay stuck in what we're comfortable with, and it's scary for us to pursue. So seeing this chart, I had no idea how terrified and scared she must have been launching the career that she has. And she must have had some really good support to encourage her. That's wild. So if she had just decided, and she's born in 1946, so she's squarely, like, solidly a boomer generation person, and they were told, you're a woman, settle down, have a family, that would have been her South Node. That was not what she was meant to do. She was meant to go forth into the world and do amazing, wild things that people did not think she should be doing, but they would change the world for the better. So let's see, I see other things. So, I mean, I could go and tell you about her basic sun sign and stuff, but I think this is way more interesting. She's a Capricorn, not a shock to anyone. Oh, and look, she's got what a nice balanced creative house. So I'm looking here now in her 5th house, and I see Mercury, Venus, and the sun all in the 5th house of creativity. That's wonderful. I also see, so there's 2 points here, and I don't often see them together next to each other, but 2 points I also look at are the vertex and the part of fortune. And those are just kind of fate markers, if you think. So like luck-ish kind of in things. There's some more complicated than that, but that'll serve for this example. And they're also in our 5th house, but they are 1.5 degrees from each other. They're little buddies. So of course she has this brilliant creative mind that comes from her heart, but also is very driven and practical. I love this. What a beautiful chart. Okay, so I very much like Dolly Parton, but I'm thinking, I don't actually know much about her past. So I see here a 2nd house Chiron, which again, if you remember, I mentioned earlier, is your wounds. So if you think about mythology, Chiron is a mythological figure. It's what the asteroid's named after. And they call him the wounded healer. So wherever your Chiron placement is, it tells me the story of where you've been hurt and how also, if you heal, you can help others. And hers is in her 2nd house, which is material possessions and money. So if I didn't know her, and I don't know, I would guess that she grew up poor and that maybe her family struggled to put food on the table. And she has the imagination library. She probably did. That's why she gives so much back. God, she's an amazing human being. She also has Jupiter in the second house, which Jupiter is a lot of things, but it's also luck. So, yeah, she could have chosen a different path. If she had chosen to just listen to what society told her to do, settle down, had a family, she never would have healed and she never would have helped people. I mean, her music alone has touched so many people. Oh my goodness. Oh, and okay, so we have a first house Neptune. She struggles to see herself clearly. If she was sitting here in front of me, I would tell her, never, ever, ever doubt yourself. Truly. So next I would ask her about her mother. Again, I don't know her history, her family history. Her mother looks organized, but hidden, absent. Like there's, like there's always something next to kind of come up that she has to take care of. And it's not a lack of love or anything, but she's very busy taking care of stuff. And Dolly might have been one of those stuff, but very practical, but hidden, distant in a hidden way. She's got a drive. And here's the humanitarian aspect. Oh, and Cancer. Oh my gosh. Okay, so she has a really cool conjunction that would have only lasted for maybe a week. So many people born in the same week or so that she was born have this, but not as exact as this. It's exact almost to the minute. So it's Mars conjunct Saturn. I'm in the best positive light that from my memory I can think of. That is drive. That is, where does she get her energy from? She don't know. It's just there. And Lord of mercy, if you could bottle that and sell it, you'd be a millionaire. It's a lot of other things too, but it's giving those vibes for me. But it's in Cancer, and in the humanitarian house. So she's always wanted to help others. What a beautiful person. So that gives you just a little snapshot. This was very, very, very quick. And it would definitely be different if somebody was sitting in front of me, because you'd be able to ask questions, to nod and affirm, or, shake your head and let me know, no, that's not correct. But it can clearly get a little personal and intense. And I want to take a second to share. So to bring my research ethics into it, we are trained as researchers to respect people and human subjects. And I study people communication. And we have the Institutional Review Board, the IRB, and they make sure that we adhere to ethics standards. Now, there's no IRB board for astrology readings, but I absolutely, if anything sensitive comes up, anything you share in a reading, I will protect it. Thank you so much for joining me today. If something resonated, feel free to share this episode or leave a review to help others find their way here. In the next few episodes, we'll be doing some live readings with actual people. And if you want to connect, you can find me on Instagram at @celestial_scholar. And until next time, keep listening inward and upward.